Hey, Sam here, coming from you from the Northland. I wanted to go over a generator install we just completed here with the company Shuffler Energy. So we have a 22 kilowatt new generation generator that we installed, air cool home standby. So we did a couple things on this install that we fixed a couple problems. I just wanted to go, well, not problems, but code violations, we could say. So I just want to go over what we did. So essentially we have a 200 amp panel in the house behind this equipment, and the shed is being served or it's being fed by a 200 amp panel as well. And that's a 3-wire. So there was no ground down this pipe. So we have 2 hots and a neutral, which the neutral was ran in green. We re-identified that as white. And we had our grounding electrode conductor actually bonding in the meter can. And then it came out of the meter can and it went to the breaker panel, which was technically the service at that point. So after speaking to the inspector, we are not supposed to bond at the meter can itself. We are supposed to only bond at the means of service disconnect. So it was bonded in the panel, which was correct. But now we removed that because that could have potentially enabled a parallel neutral path on the equipment. So we pulled it out here. As you can see, it was a number 4. It wasn't zip tied, so I zip tied it up and I irreversibly crimped it back there. So number 4 is good for a 200 amp service, which technically this was 2 200 amp services. So it was like a 320 amp meter socket or a 400 amp service. But since the customer wanted everything to be backed up by this generator, we converted these 2 200 amp panels just to a 200 amp service. So in theory, those 2 disconnects, one in the house and one in the shed, that are 200 amps are just disconnects now. They're not going to be protecting. They are protecting the circuit breaker panels, but this ultimately now is our service disconnect, and it is, going to provide the first means of overconnection on the system. So just going into this, so we removed the grounding electrode there. We pulled it out of the panel there, and we irreversibly crimped it to the ground rods, our grounding electrode. And then our number 4 grounding electrode conductor, it has to land on the neutral bar. You cannot land that on the ground bar because you cannot use the metal can as a path for your grounding electrode conductor. This new transfer switch that Generac offers has surge protection. It's got line guards built in, which is required. You have to have your service protected by a service barrier. And we have, what else is to note? So essentially all we did to make this install as clean as possible is I took the 2, they are now feeders, but they would have been service entrance conductors at the time. I took them off here, and then I lugged them here and here, and then I ran them on the customer lower loads, which is T1 and T2. So I landed them up in there, and then that is what's going to feed the customer's 2 panels lugged here and here once there's a power outage. And the generator will backfeed these 2 lugs, which must be connected to the bottom lugs, which is the customer load. So that's your E1 and your E2 loads right there, which will backfeed the customer loads. And this transfer switch will open with this mechanism. And then a very important thing is this data cable. Generac makes a specific data cable. They do. And that cable has to be rated if you're going to stick it in the same conduit like we did, it has to be rated for the voltage of the conduit, or of the wire, of the conductors in the conduit. So these two cables are rated at 300 volts. And what really I need to do here next, this outer jacket it's shielded. So there's a shield wire in there. It's wrapped all the way around concentrically in this cable. And I actually kind of made that up, and I landed that on the ground lug in the Generac generator. So it's grounded. So any frequency or anything that is creating somewhat of electrical interference or noise, this is a spare cable too. I just wrapped it up there. We're going to clean that up with zip ties here in a minute, because I want this conductor right here to be like an inch away from any of this service, any of this power, because this jacket is rated 300 volts, and I'm not sure. I don't think this stranded wire is not rated 300 volts. So that's in a jiffy. I got my neutral coming out of my neutral lug, coming to my neutral bond, coming back out, lugging together. I re-identified the wires. And then another thing to note, this is one thing else I want to touch on before we end the video on this generator install, is that since I could add a ground wire, a grounding conductor, number 6, overcurrent protection 200, number 6, right here on my ground bar. Then I added it to the panel behind the wall, which is serving the residence or the home, not serving the shed behind me. I have to separate the grounds and the neutrals inside that panel, which I went ahead and did. So you just separate all the ground wires from the neutral wires, and you make sure to pull out your main bonding jumper, which is typically a green screw, but in this application, it is this green conductor. So we just pull that. So if this was not the service disconnect here, and this was behind it, this green conductor would have to come out. It's typically a green screw, which it is in the panel. Okay, so one more thing. After consulting with the inspector, this wire, or this tube or pipe, is serving a 200 amp panel in the home, or in the shed. Right there, serving that. Those grounds and neutrals are bonded together in that shed, and they can stay that way because we do not have a ground wire going through that pipe, and we can't get one over there without digging up the ground and getting a ground wire from A to B. So the inspector, the local AHJ, is not requiring that, so that's pretty awesome. That saved me a little bit of time and a lot of money with digging. So I just wanted to run you through this generator install. It's not super complicated. If you have any questions about generators, we serve southern Minnesota, and my company's name is Scheffler Energy, SCHEFFLER Energy. You can reach us at schefflerenergy@gmail.com. Find us on Facebook, and you can also find us on Google. So thanks for watching this video. Hopefully you learned something. Leave a comment if you got any questions. I'd be happy to respond to it. And if there's anything I did wrong or anything I could do better or anything I need to be corrected on, please let me know, because I'm always learning. And there's so much to learn in this trade, and you never stop learning. And there's always ways to do things better. Thank you so much for watching, and have a very blessed day.